right, 49ers alarm update time. It's a busy day. Brock Purdy has made a rare podcast appearance, a bunch of new 49ers contract info, and pro days continuing, highlighted by the big man from Florida, Desmond Watson, 464 pounds, on track to become the heaviest player in NFL history. He worked out today, 25-inch vertical leap in that frame. They're calling him the tush push destroyer. I don't know if the 49ers will be interested, but I thought that you guys would be interested because this guy obviously can play defensive tackle. I think that's very apparent from his frame. But look, he can take handoffs too. 49ers need a power back. They can go to Desmond Watson, 464-pounder out of Florida with a 25-inch vertical leap. Moving forward, a lot of new contract info dropped for the 49ers, which is always important as we analyze their financial strategy. People had been wondering about Kyle Juszczyk's deal. That's now available. It's got void years. That means the 49ers are intentionally creating more dead cap hits down the road. I wrote about this in the San Francisco Standard, debunking the myths about the 49ers financial reset, which have mainly surrounded dead money. People acting like dead cap hits are unacceptable and they're bad financial practice. They're simply the closures of bar tabs. In fact, the 49ers are paying more on the 2025 cap for closing Kyle Juszczyk's old bar tab than they are for opening this new one. It's about $2.6 million on the 2025 cap for his new contract, and it's about $3.5 million for the dead money hit from the old contract. But there's nothing inherently wrong with this because they were going to owe that money anyway. I think people need to start realizing that dead money is not as scary as it sounds. We also have the salary structure for the 49ers QB2. That is Mac Jones. You can take a look at over the cap right here for Mac Jones' contract. This will illustrate how those void years do work. But Jones has got a minimum base salary of $1.17 million in 2025, raises to $2.8 million in 2026, although that's not guaranteed. Only that first year for Mac Jones is guaranteed. $2.2 million signing bonus, which prorates against the salary cap. So 5 years, you divide the 2.24 by 5 years, it's $448,000 per year. He's got a second bonus, an option bonus of $1.4 million that kicks in 2026. That's $282,000 per year. So Jones is under contract for 2 seasons, but as you can see, there is money in 2027, 2028, and 2029 that is staved off. It's not hitting the cap until those years, but that's in void years. As soon as Mac Jones's tenure with the 49ers ends, this money right here, all of it added together, will hit the cap as dead money, which goes to show you that it's just a bar tab that the 49ers have not paid yet, and they'll pay when they close out the contract on Mac Jones. Since salary cap space carries over from season to season, it really is no big deal. I've got some other 49ers contract info for you. I could just relay some of the cap hits and some of the guaranteed money for players of whom we now have the details. Saran Neal, special teams ace for the 49ers, $2.255 million fully guaranteed. It is a 2-year deal worth up to $4 million for Saran Neal. We will see if the 49ers keep George Odum. $1 million of his 2025 salary becomes guaranteed on April 1st. That is obviously the key trigger date for Odum, also for Brandon Aiyuk's contract, and for others on this 49ers roster. For Neal, it is a $390,000 bonus total, and his 2025 base salary is guaranteed. It's a $1.65 million 2025 salary cap hit. So the 49ers strategy is to keep cap hits as low as possible in the near term. They've been doing this for years with all the contracts, push the money out into the future where the salary cap is expected to be higher, and I think it's a fairly good bet that it will be higher. And if you keep on doing that, well, you can keep on surfing the wave of the rising salary cap. Showed you the Mac Jones contract, talked about the Kyle Juszczyk contract. Juszczyk, by the way, $3.75 million per year is the official number, $7 million fully guaranteed money, more fully guaranteed money in year 2 than in year 1. So Kyle Juszczyk is firmly on track to be on that 10-year wall. He's got 8 years with the 49ers so far. Finally, Trey Brown, new contract for the 49ers, cornerback 3. It is a veteran minimum base salary, $1.17 million. $165,000 of that is guaranteed. $335,000 signing bonus. $170,000 total and per game roster bonus money. That's significant because he had the ankle injury that he struggled with last year, and a $25,000 workout bonus. 49ers may have gotten their cornerback 3 for a cap hit of only $1.67 million in 2025. So you can see how they're playing this with financial efficiency. They've taken care of a lot of the holes at the secondary, backup safety, cornerback 3, so they could focus on the front 7 in this upcoming NFL draft. So those are the contracts, more void years. Trey Brown's doesn't have void years, but for Juszczyk, for Mac Jones, for Saran Neal, 2-year deal, void years for the 49ers. That is the intentional creation of dead money. All right, we had a Brock Purdy podcast appearance. Why don't we have a listen in to Brock? And this is a rare podcast appearance, but some really, really good detailed stuff from Brock Purdy talking right here.
So my quarterback coach, Brian Greasy, the last couple of years, he and I talked about that. He played 11 years. His dad's Bob Greasy. But we got talking about how really it's 60-40. You can see about 60% of the time, and the other 40% you really can't. I mean, it doesn't matter how bigger you are.
Right.
I mean, I'm already shorter in stature, yes, but he goes, that's why it's so important when it comes down to knowing coverages, knowing scheme, where our players are supposed to be, how many steps they're breaking, and where the ball should be over a certain backer. Like, all those things, man, it matters. And that's why, like, guys, you know, if you go to a combine and all those things, you're just throwing on there, and yeah, you look all good with a strong arm and fast jumping, all that stuff. But when it comes down to 11 on 11 and you got guys that are a foot taller than you and you can't see, it comes down to the processing. Like, before the play, like, I know that the safety's probably going to rotate down. It's going to be one high, and I got one hitch, no more than that, to rip it where Debo's supposed to be, like, just inside the hash, and there's a backer that's also got a 40-inch vert that I got to put up. You know, like,
Isn't that crazy? The difficulty of the quarterback position. I don't think a lot of people process this because they're too busy playing Madden where they could see everything and just hit a button. Brock Purdy said that it's about 60-40. 60% of the time you're going to see who you're throwing to. 40% of the time you're not going to see. And as he said, it doesn't matter how tall you are. The fact that NFL defensive linemen are huge and just the actual geometry of the field means that a lot of times you're going to be throwing blind. And if you don't know the playbook, if you haven't studied, if you don't have a fast processor, you've got no chance in this league. So I think that explains a lot of why the success of Brock Purdy coming from pick 262 shouldn't be viewed as this supernatural mystery. It's just hard to scout quarterbacks because a lot of what makes them good happens away from the physical measurables. It happens with the processing power, with the ability to throw with anticipation. And hey, when you can't see the guy that you're throwing to about 40% of the time, they better get separation. And the 49ers were not getting separation last year. Number 32, dead last in the league. I think that Purdy on that podcast, the Built for More pod, a very rare podcast appearance for Brock Purdy, gives us some nice insight into the difficulty of playing the quarterback position. Yesterday, if you missed it, driverless car ride here in San Francisco, I talked about just the shoddy, terrible reporting, and I always say reporting like this. I call it out, so make sure you go watch it. It was one of our best driverless car videos. We went in reverse, or wilding out on the road, went in reverse, ripped around some guys who were blocking an intersection, and of course, we call out the very, very poor Brock Purdy knee-jerk reaction reports, the clickbait reports, the moving target reporting of different APY. All I can tell you is that what the fans actually care about is that a deal gets done. That's all the fans want, right? This is their entertainment. They want a deal done. And this ridiculous clout chasing of, just tossing around APY numbers, which we're seeing reporters do right now, is absurd to me. It's tiresome. And I, just want to analyze an actual contract once it does come out for Brock Purdy. We got some other really good stuff happening around the 49ers. Why don't we start with the D. Winters situation? This is cool. This was the Pro Football Hall of Fame ambassador posted this yesterday. D. Winters, 398 total snaps in 2024, recorded an 80 PFF coverage grade, which actually ranked 6th out of 189 qualifying linebackers. And the first thing that I thought when I saw this was D. Winters blanketing DK Metcalf about 20 yards downfield, maybe 25 yards downfield in that game against the Seattle Seahawks. Nice pass breakup for D. We know he's fast. We know he used to play safety, and we know that Dre Greenlaw is now with the Denver Broncos. So is D. Winters going to win linebacker 2? I know that the 49ers are very high on D. Winters. I know that they're probably going to try to add to the position in the draft, but it's hard to know who they're going to add in the draft, and it's a long off season. We'll see if D. Winters wins that linebacker 2 job. But one thing that we can say is that he can cover. I think the big question regarding D is durability, because it's not just coverage at the linebacker position. It's throwing your body in there against the run. So durability, run defense, tackling ability. If he can showcase check marks at those different spots, then the D. Winters, I think, can win the 49ers linebacker 2 position. But I think so far he's shown coverage, but the durability aspect has been lacking for D. Winters. So a lot to prove over the course of this 2024 season. How about the San Francisco sandwich of the day? Newkirk's over by San Francisco General Hospital. Yes, that's essentially a Philly cheesesteak with a couple eggs thrown onto it. And of course, I added avocado as well. We'd say this is the best sandwich city in the world. This one didn't disappoint. And it reminded me of the Philadelphia Eagles and how they're building this football team. By the way, a little rewind right here to the sandwich and then to the menu. I'm going to pause it. It was the number 5, the horse on the roof. Grilled steak, 2 eggs, provolone, yellow American NK sauce. I don't know what that is. Served on a French roll. If we want another look at it, it's right here. So, it got me thinking about how well the Philadelphia Eagles have built their roster. And if we want to show how well the Eagles have built their roster, we go here. This is the defensive line construction of the Eagles. It's Philly cheesesteaks, Eagles. We go for that. The shaded color in the acquisition method column means that player was added through the NFL draft. And I compared the Eagles to the Rams, who also built through the NFL draft. A team that was woefully underdeveloped through the NFL draft along the defensive line was the 2024 49ers, as you can see here. They paled in comparison to the 2019 49ers, but just not a lot of shading there in the middle, right? A lot of free agents, and it wasn't a healthy line. It wasn't a hungry line. It wasn't a fast line. It wasn't a line that was good against the run. Meanwhile, Philadelphia and LA, they blossomed, especially the defending champion Eagles. That's where the cheesesteak is from. So anyway, go and check out Newkirk's, but also check out good defensive line construction. This is what the 49ers are trying to do in the draft. Now, the Eagles also added, this is for 2025, I added the 2 names, Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. And 49ers fans seemed really upset that the 49ers couldn't sign any of those 2 players. But I'm going to give you the cold hard truth, because we're actually objective here. We're not going to pretend that the 49ers are better than they actually are. San Francisco's in no position to add project reclamation defensive lineman. Ojulari's missed 22 games in 3 seasons. Uche has 5 sacks in the past 2 seasons. The Eagles have built such a robust line, as you can see right here through the draft, that they can afford to add guys who are going to be rotational pieces, who are icing on the cake. The 49ers still need to bake the cake itself. A couple of years ago, they were in a good position to add rotational linemen, reclamation projects, Arden Key, somebody like Charles Amenahu might have even fallen into that category. But now the 49ers just need to insert the bread and butter, and availability is huge. They couldn't go after a guy like Ojulari, who has missed 20-plus games over the past couple of years. They need to save as many spaces for draft picks so they can get to this point, to where the Eagles are, where the Rams are, and then they can plop the eggs on top of the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Then they could start going back to the veteran additions like an Uche, like an Ojulari. But the 49ers, the majority of the work that has to happen is going to be coming up here in the NFL draft. So anyway, hope you like the metaphor. Hope you like the sandwich over at Newkirk's. This has been your 49ers alarm update. Had a lot of good stuff this morning. We will talk to you very soon.